Two motorcycles, two legends, two very different personalities. The Suzuki VanVan 200 and the Yamaha TW200 may share the same fat tire DNA, but when you put them side by side, the question becomes inevitable. Which one is truly the king of retro fat tire machines? They're not superbikes. They're not massive adventure tours, but they have something few motorcycles can replicate: character. With oversized balloon tires, minimalist engines, and rugged retro styling, these two bikes don't just ride roads, they rewrite them. Today we'll dive deep into every detail: history, design, performance, comfort, off-road power, and reliability, to decide which one deserves the crown. This is Bike Brand, and you're about to witness the ultimate fat tire showdown. The fat tire identity. More than just a look, fat tire motorcycles sit in a category of their own. They don't fit into sport bike speed records or cruiser long-haul comfort charts. Instead, they are about utility, versatility, and uniqueness. Wide tires mean stability on sand, dirt, and gravel. Retro styling gives them a timeless personality. Riders love them because they can handle weekend trails, city commutes, and even beach cruising, all while drawing attention anywhere they go. Both the Suzuki VanVan 200 and Yamaha TW200 define this category, but they approach it with different philosophies. Suzuki with style and comfort, Yamaha with rugged toughness and simplicity, heritage and legacy, two paths to icon status. The Yamaha TW200 entered the scene in 1987, and in nearly 4 decades its formula has barely changed. That's not because Yamaha is lazy, it's because they perfected the recipe from day one. With fat knobby tires, a low seat, and a bulletproof 196cc engine, it became a cult favorite for beginners, explorers, and even survivalists. Its reputation is so solid that many TW200s from the 80s and 90s are still running strong today. The Suzuki VanVan 200 has an even older story. First introduced in the 1970s as the RV125, it was a quirky, fun motorcycle that built its fan base among beachgoers and casual riders. After disappearing for years, Suzuki revived it in the 2000s with a bigger engine and modern updates. The VanVan carried forward its old-school charm, blending retro aesthetics with an easygoing riding experience. Unlike the TW, which looks like a survival tool, the VanVan looks like a vintage collectible that just happens to work brilliantly. Engine and performance. A small displacement showdown on paper, both bikes are closely matched. The Suzuki VanVan 200 packs a 199cc single-cylinder, 4-stroke air-cooled engine producing around 16 horsepower and 15 Nm of torque. Its 5-speed transmission is smooth and forgiving, making it approachable for beginners and fun for casual riders. The VanVan's engine is tuned for laid-back riding, with more top-end smoothness than low-end aggression. The Yamaha TW200 uses a slightly smaller 196cc engine, pushing about 14 horsepower and 12 Nm of torque. What it lacks in outright power, it makes up in torque delivery at lower RPMs. This makes the TW200 especially effective in tight trails and rugged terrain, where slow and steady beats high speed. Top speed is where the Suzuki edges ahead, comfortably hitting around 70-75 mph, making it more usable on highways. The Yamaha, in contrast, tops out closer to 65 mph, which is fine for trails and city roads but less ideal for extended highway cruising. Verdict: VanVan wins in smoothness and higher road speed. TW200 dominates in low-speed grunt and off-road usability. Styling and presence: retro cool versus utilitarian toughness. The Suzuki VanVan 200 is a rolling time machine. Its design screams retro: a teardrop fuel tank, long flat seat, chrome details, and a round headlamp that could easily belong to a bike from the 1970s. Riders who value aesthetics and individuality will be drawn to it immediately. The VanVan is stylish enough to be parked at a beach cafe and functional enough to be taken on a dusty trail afterward. The Yamaha TW200, on the other hand, doesn't bother with chrome or fancy touches. Its design is functional minimalism: a square headlight, narrow tank, compact dimensions, and those famously oversized tires. While some may find it less visually appealing than the VanVan, others admire its rugged, no-nonsense attitude. It looks like it's ready to take on a survival mission in the desert or jungle. Verdict: VanVan wins on retro appeal. TW200 takes the crown for raw, rugged looks, comfort and riding position, Which one feels better? Suzuki clearly designed the VanVan 200 with comfort in mind. Its long, wide and padded seat is surprisingly plush for such a small motorcycle. The upright handlebars, balanced foot peg position, and soft suspension make it perfect for long, casual rides. Even carrying a passenger is more comfortable compared to most bikes in its category. The Yamaha TW200, by contrast, prioritizes function. Its seat is lower and narrower, making it extremely approachable for shorter riders or beginners. The upright seating position is good, but the seat padding is minimal compared to the VanVan. For trails, it's fantastic, but on long highway stretches, riders may start feeling discomfort sooner. Verdict: VanVan is the comfort king. TW200 is practical and confidence-inspiring for beginners. Off-road capability, where legends are made. This is the TW200's home turf. Its fat tires, 130/80/18 front and 180/80/14 rear, are famous for handling sand, dirt, mud, and snow. Combine that with its torquey engine, lightweight 278-pound build, and simple suspension setup, and you get a bike that can go places larger adventure motorcycles struggle with. Many riders consider it one of the best beginner off-road machines ever built. The Suzuki VanVan 200 isn't far behind. Sporting similar fat tires and decent suspension, it can handle gravel roads, sandy trails, and beaches with ease. However, its softer suspension setup, heavier feel, and road-focused tuning make it less effective in extremely rough terrain compared to the TW200. Verdict: TW200 wins the off-road battle hands down, while the VanVan is better suited for casual exploration. Reliability and ownership experience. Both Suzuki and Yamaha have excellent reputations for reliability, but the TW200's track record is legendary. Riders around the world have kept TW200s running for decades with minimal maintenance. Its air-cooled engine is nearly indestructible, and parts are easy to find almost anywhere. The VanVan 200 is also a reliable machine, but it doesn't have the same long production history or global support network. Depending on where you live, spare parts can be trickier to find compared to the TW200. Still, as a Suzuki, it carries a solid reputation for build quality. Verdict: TW200 wins with its unmatched longevity and global availability. Price and value. What do you get for the money? The Yamaha TW200 has long been considered one of the most affordable and reliable small motorcycles on the market. Its relatively low price, strong resale value, and reputation for indestructibility make it a fantastic value proposition. The Suzuki VanVan 200 was priced slightly higher during its run, justified by its unique retro styling and comfort-oriented features. But in terms of resale value and global recognition, it doesn't hold the same position as the TW200. Verdict: TW200 is the value for money winner, though the VanVan justifies its price with style and comfort. Final decision: which fat tire legend wins? So who takes the crown in this battle? Choose the Suzuki VanVan 200 if you want a stylish, retro-inspired motorcycle that's incredibly comfortable, highway-capable, and perfect for casual rides with personality. Choose the Yamaha TW200 if you want unmatched off-road performance, bulletproof reliability, and a bike that has proven itself for nearly 4 decades as one of the toughest small motorcycles in existence. At the end of the day, it's less about numbers and more about soul. The VanVan 200 charms you with its retro coolness, while the TW200 wins your heart with rugged loyalty. Whichever you pick, you're not just buying a motorcycle, you're joining a legacy. This is Bike Brand, and that was the ultimate fat tire showdown. Which one would you ride home? The stylish VanVan or the rugged TW200?